Today we're going to talk about the Mists of Avalon and everything that must be done so that when released it does not come out as a complete and utter failure. So a lot of MMOs do not make solo focused content, and so a lot of them don't have experience themselves as either solo players or what solo players actually want. Today's video is going to cover everything that must be done so that the solo player, as in you and me, can have a fun and exciting time in Albion Online's Mists of Avalon. Alright, so the first one absolutely must be that when you enter the portals to the Mists of Avalon, for the solo players, it must not emphasize grouping at all. As a matter of fact, if I had it my way, you wouldn't even be able to right-click someone else and party up with them at all. As in, you can't group up with them, you can't invite them to a party, you can't see that they're an ally, and let me get into this a little bit more, okay? So imagine that you are a massive alliance, like Arch, or whoever the big boys now are. I don't really know, I don't pay attention, I'm a solo player, I don't care. I don't care about their stupid alliances or their massive Zerg guilds. But they do. And here's the thing, say the Mists come out, it's day one, the Mists just released, the servers come up, so what do these guilds do? They do what all guilds want to do. They further their virtual greed. They demand that they take over every new thing that comes out in this game. They can't just leave it alone. So here's what they would do. They all get in Discord, all like 600 of them. They have, maybe probably more than that. But let's just say they have 300 to 600 players on standby ready to go. So here's what happens. They all join a Discord chat channel, okay? They got a lead speaker that's telling everyone what to do. The lead speaker is like, okay, we're all going to click the portal at the same time. 3, 2, 1, boom. And then let's say it's like the current Mists of, or the Roads of Avalon, right? Where you there's like 100 to 300 different areas, I believe. I'm not entirely sure of that exact number. So what happens is you have your massive alliance all enter the Mists of Avalon meant for solo players. And then, as you ride around your Mists of Avalon, unable to party with other people or even pre-party, which is part of the design, right? I don't know, it's not out yet. But let's say that it is. You start seeing other nameplates around you, and you start seeing that they are either, the same color as your guild, or they are the same color of your alliance. For those that don't know, when you're in an alliance, people in your alliance will have a purple name, meaning that they are an ally. So, in this case, everyone's going to use Discord to try to organize as many of their friends and guildmates and alliance members as possible in the same Mists of Avalon zone. And then me, the actual solo player, you, the actual solo player, it's just going to be you surrounded by like 7 other dudes that are all purple to each other. And guess who they're going to kill and take all their loot? It's no longer a solo experience. It's a 7 versus 1. It's just like going to the Black Zone. It's just like going to the Roads of Avalon, okay? Even though there's extra steps for them to group up. So, with that said, there must not be a way for people to group up. And to counteract what I just said, you can't stop an alliance from all joining at once and hopefully ending up in a few of the same instances, right? That's unavoidable. However, what you can do is disable the alliance name, disable the guild name, and disable the UI displaying your alliance members as purple in the Mists of Avalon. For instance, in my alliance, it's got over 2,000 people, right? If you disabled the fact that these names would turn purple, I'm not going to be able to recognize the members. I'm not going to be able to see the members' name. I'm not going to remember all 2,000 member names at all, okay? And so, just with that minor little thing, some people will be able to recognize each other, but unless they have a super brain, they're not going to remember 14,000 Arch members in their alliance to be able to see who's friend and who's foe. They just simply won't. So this UI change must be necessary, okay? Otherwise, people are going to find a way to exploit and group up and use Discord programs, and even if they don't enter the same instance, they can just leave the Roads of Avalon and then re-enter, getting a new instance until there's at least 5 to 7 of them, so they can form a little roaming gank squad and control whatever the Mist of Avalon zone that they want. This makes it where us solo players won't be able to play at all. We won't even bother playing. We'll just stick to our yellow zones so we don't get bullied by massive zergs of people. Next up, the Mists should let you choose your difficulty level in a way that corrupted dungeons allow you to choose your difficulty level as well. So imagine this, right? You're a solo player, and you go into the Mists of Avalon with your tier 4.1 set, your little budget set, because you're afraid you don't want to lose too much when you die. It's fine. Just like every other player in the entire game that isn't a rich in real life whale that just spends real money on gold every time to rebuy their gear sets, okay? So you go in with your 4.1, and it turns out the mists that you got randomly sent to are a tier 8 zone. So now you're struggling to kill anything, and then the other players in the Mist Zone are all running around in 8.3 because they're rich, and because they're forced to fight other solo players, you have zero chance in your 4.1 gear versus their 8.3 in max spec. You just don't. It would be like your first time going into a corrupted dungeon, you know, the Hunter difficulty. It would be like going into Slayer difficulty against the highest tiered, highest elo players. And there's no guarantee that you won't get 2v1 because the two 8.3 players will see each other and they're like, yeah, I don't want to fight that dude, I might die. But they inspect you, see your 4.1, and they're like, ooh, that's a free kill. That's easy. I'm gonna follow this guy around and kill him so he will stop chomping my trees in this zone. Right? So they just kill you and eliminate you from that Mists of Avalon. So with this said, not only should there be a difficulty that you choose, but whatever difficulty that is chosen, there needs to be an IP limit. A lot of people don't realize this, but in the old world of Albion Online, there was IP limits. Okay, this is a tier 3 blue zone. If I went here in the old game with tier 8.3 gear, my IP would be limited down to like tier 4, so I wouldn't be any stronger than anyone else in this zone. Same for the yellow zones. If I went to a yellow zone with full 8.3 gear, which you cannot lose in a yellow zone because there's no permadeath, the IP was limited down to like tier 5 or 6 or something silly like that. So what that means is that my 8.3 gear had no power here. I had no business using 8.3 in a yellow zone. I couldn't speedrun dungeons, I couldn't flag up for PvP and just mercilessly down people with no chance for them to fight back. And so for Mists of Avalon to be successful, you must allow the players, which are solo players, to be able to choose the tier of Mist that they want to go into and their difficulty level. So I like to chop trees, right? Like I have tier 8 wood chopping, right? But I don't want to bring a tier 8 axe out into a dangerous zone. I'd rather bring like a tier 5 or tier 6 axe. So let me choose to enter a tier 6 mist zone. Don't make me wander around aimlessly all day long like in the Roads of Avalon trying to find a correct zone to farm in, okay? The only people in this game that use Roads of Avalon are people that use Discords that have these little programs that map out the roads every day. There's people that use third-party programs, and they have friends that have ESP hacks that will show if a zone has those giant monsters that you can farm aspects. Okay, so if you've ever watched like an Avalonian Roads streamer on Albion, they always have a friend that just happens to know where every aspect is and where every aspect spawns. Okay, and because the roads are completely jumbled and randomized and just absolutely crazy random, there's no way that, unless they spend all of their real life day riding around and scouting it out near their guild hideout, which, again, speaking of guild hideouts, there should not be a guild hideout in the Mists of Avalon, not one bit. I don't want to see a single hideout in the Mists of Avalon area, because solo players, while you can build a hideout as a solo player, You just don't, because some stupid Zerg clan will send 500 dudes to blow it up for fun, not even for profit, So if you want to spend 35 million silver to waste 100 dudes' time for about 10 minutes, for that day, then go for it. But I don't want to see hideouts in the mists, okay? There's another reason that solo players like me don't ever go to the Black Zone. It's completely unfair. If I go to the Black Zone right now and just go out into a random area, like right here, look, there's 2 hideouts. Okay, so let's say I kill a dude around here. Let's say I actually 1v1 a guy, which never happens, by the way, and kill him. He respawns at his hideout, re-gears, rides right back out to me, and fights me over and over and over until I leave. Whereas if I die, I have to go all the way back to the portal area, 15, 20 minutes away, real time, re-gear up, ride all the way back out there, and he's got his friends ready. He's got his hideout nearby. He sees me coming. He sees that I outgear him. He just enters his hideout. He's completely safe. As a solo player, I can't break his hideout. Even as a YouTuber, I can't amass enough fans to go get hammers and smash a hideout. It's just not something that can be done. So, hideouts do not need to be in the Mists, and nothing that would give you an advantage needs to be in the Mists either, okay? If I want to ride around in the Mists, a solo area in 8.3, then I should only be allowed to ride around in zones where the other players can only queue up for that zone if they have close to the same item power. Otherwise, what's the point? You could be a solo player, have a little solo adventure, but if you're a 4.1 in a zone shared by 8.3s, you're a free meal ticket. You're just someone's punching bag. You are their plaything. You're like a little mouse with a broken leg, and they're a ferocious cougar that's just gonna slap you around and chew you up and spit you out, and probably not even bother looting your gear because it's so cheap, right? So for Mist to succeed and for solos to have fun, you can't mix the two groups, okay? If someone wants to go in 8.3, they need to be able around other actual people also in 8.3 or similar or close to that power level. Otherwise, there's no point in even going out unless you have the 8.3. Alright, also, don't make it like the Roads of Avalon where it's just constant choke points and small narrow corridors. Alright, because that just sets up kill zones. If any, you have to disable having people in a party together, but even then that won't stop some people. Some people are going to ride up to each other, they're going to socialize. Maybe, this is a wild one, but maybe disable chat. I know that sounds like a really long shot, but it works in some games. I'm not saying that because I'm perma-muted and can't talk anyway, but what I'm saying is in an old survival game like the Resident Evil Outbreak games, you couldn't just text chat to people. In Dead by Daylight, you can't just open a text box in the middle of the match and be like, hey, do this, do that, let's go, let's work on this. No. If you disable chat, that will prevent some people from being social with each other and partying up to prey on other solo players. Now, yes, I know that, does make the game feel more isolated and lonely, but it is a solo area for a reason. With that said, I doubt that will ever come to fruition. I don't think any dev will ever sign off on that, and devs don't watch my videos anyway. Or maybe they do, because they keep making threads on the round table about me. But what you need to do, make sure that you got some open fields. Don't make choke points, okay? I mean, don't be afraid to make the maps a little smaller, too. Like imagine a zone that's this small, and you put, a couple players in it. That's enough to either fight or run away, or stay on your side of the zone, chopping your trees or something. I don't know, but don't fill it with stupid hallways, okay? Because people are just going to make builds and set at the hallways, and then turn invisible, and when some little 4.1 newbie rides by, they're going to unstealth and gank them and take all their stuff, and then they'll just quit the game and uninstall, okay? You gotta make it more open-ended so that there's multiple ways to escape gankers, and you've already made it where mounts are really hard to dismount anyway. So if it truly is a solo experience and people are gonna ride around in tier 6 oxes, ain't no one breaking that without 8.3 or specified potions and perfect play. Okay, you're just not gonna do it. It's that simple. All right. So yeah, just make sure you don't add the choke points. Alright, so here's another situation too, right? Okay, so you're inside the Mists of Avalon, and you're having a good time, and then a whole bunch of clan people all in the same alliance do the thing I talked about at the start of the video. So now you have 4 people roaming around in a kill squad. What do? Well, you can leave and, go bank, I guess, if you survive, or have little teleporty pods or something on the edges of the map or in the middle, or just something for players to escape with, but let that player enter another portal to another Mist of Avalon completely randomized, so that those gankers that all partied up, they either open their chat and was like, hey man, I like your set, let's kill other players, because here's the thing too, let's say someone has a calling card, right? You put a specific potion in your slot, and then when you inspect people, that they're part of that kill squad, or just something silly. There's ways to communicate without communicating, okay? Like, I could tell everyone to wear, like, a tier 5.2 bag, and when you inspect someone and they have a 5.2 bag, you know that you're, like, on the same team, right? So, the way to circumvent this also is, as the solo player trying to escape the gank squads, let them teleport to a new Mists of Avalon, by clicking a portal or whatever in the game it is, but make it send them randomly, okay? Currently in the Roads of Avalon, when you enter a portal, the gank squad following you just follows behind you and enters the portal that you entered, and then there's no escape. You just don't get away because they're all on swift claws, and you're on an ox or a horse, so they're faster. They can spread out their 10-man kill squad and cover every choke point, and you're just eventually going to die. There's just no point, right? But in the Mists of Avalon, the solo experience, if you're chasing someone trying to kill them and they manage to reach the portal and teleport away, you have a 1 in 300 chance of also teleporting to their same location, or something like that, okay? So make sure that there's enough randomness for people to get away when an eventual zone does get corrupted by 10 million little archlings or something like that, okay? Alright, let's just sum it up real quick, okay? For the Mists of Avalon to succeed, and for players that are solo like me to have fun and enjoy it, because no other MMO really caters to the solo player, but if they do this, I've always wanted a game company to just make content for solo players so that they can't be bullied by guilds or have an unfair advantage against pre-teamers and guilds. Like even small games like Dead by Daylight, it's four people versus a killer. Well, the 4 people can be a pre-team all in Discord chatting with each other, and that's no fun for the killer at all. But here's the point, okay? Let's just sum it up, alright? This video's getting too long. Disable party invites. You need to disable party invites so I can't ride up to someone and then have them join my party, and then I form this big-ass party, and anyone not in the party just dies. They just automatically lose because of social reasons. The Mists of Avalon, to cater to solo players, the antisocial players, the actual people, the majority of your player base, don't punish them for not being social. Just don't. I hate games that do this, okay? You need to disable UI elements that identify people, and yes, I'm aware I misspelled it on the screen. You need to disable UI elements that identify people as allies or guildies, okay? I don't want to ride around and see purple names because I'm not going to kill them, obviously, because they're in my alliance, right? Whereas if I don't know if they're on my alliance or not, like I don't even see their tag name, like some solo players have this stipulation that if they attack, a high-ranking official in some big-ass guild, that they're going to be punished for it outside of, the Mists of Avalon. And disabling chat might help with that, too. Like, say I go and attack the biggest faction alliance Chad out there. I don't know who that might be. Is it let's just look at, is there guild rankings, right? Like Guild's Fame, Blue Army. Okay, let's say I attack a Blue Army guy. Apparently they have the highest fame and lots of points. I don't pay attention to this shit. I don't give a fuck. Okay, let's say I attack a Blue Army guy, and he's like, "Oh, you just made a big mistake, pal. You're blacklisted. Anytime any Blue Army person sees you now, you're dead." Right? So disable that. Just disable it. Maybe even go as far as to disable player names. I know that's a really wild one, but if you make it truly anonymous, that might have a double-edged sword, because then bots would freely farm the mists, because no one could identify them. So maybe not disable names, but I don't know, okay? Maybe give them a temporary name or something. Okay, let players choose the difficulty. Just like Corrupted Dungeons, you have Hunter, Stalker, and Slayer, alright? And limit the IP in these areas. How stupid would it be if I entered Hunter Corrupted Dungeons and I just wore 8.3 gear? I have no reason, you can't lose gear in Hunter Dungeons. I would be able to speed farm the Hunter Corrupted Dungeons indefinitely forever, because it's a perpetual endless dungeon that you can just go deeper and deeper and deeper, never end, right? But, anyone who doesn't also have 8.3 in a Hunter Corrupted Dungeon would just be dead. They would just be free loot, free content, etc. So, for solo players to succeed, make sure that you limit IP in lower end areas. Alright, no choke points either. That just makes certain builds completely unfair, whereas everyone's going to play Corrupted Dungeon builds in the Mists of Avalon if that's the case, okay? Instead of more open world friendly, builds, okay? Also, make sure that if players change maps that it's not linear like the roads currently are, okay? Make sure that it's completely random so you can't be followed. And then finally, maybe disable chat, it prevents people from pre-teaming. And then finally, I didn't cover this one, but I'm going to cover it right now. Don't allow group content in the Mists of Avalon. I don't want to see aspects. I don't want to see group boss chests. I don't want to see like static group dungeon mobs. I don't want to see any kind of activity that involves more than one person or able to achieve, only achievable with more than one person. Don't add it in. Don't make it some sort of weird co-op party experience, because that's not fair for the truly antisocial people that play solo, that want the true solo experience to be the character of their own story, the main protagonist of their own little personalized anime. Don't do it. If you do, solo players won't give a shit. They're just going to uninstall. They're going to quit. They're going to find another MMO that will cater to their solo desires. All right? It's kind of like, you know how like at school, you have like the one kid that sits alone at lunch. He has no friends. And then you look over like just 5 feet away, and there's an entire table full of bros all cheering, hooting, and hollering, and having fun and discussing things. That's what you're going to do if you add group activities. All the people that have friends and have the potential to make friends will just play it. And then the people that are antisocial, who can't make friends, who can't fit in with society, which is, a lot of gamers in general, they won't play at all, because they will feel like that kid sitting alone at the lunch table, okay? Anyways, I'm Soul Benji. Thanks for watching. As always, be a bro, stay soul. I make videos every day. Make sure you're subscribed. If you want to monetarily support me, you can click the thanks button down below. I read every comment. Leave a comment. I may not reply to every comment, but I do read all of them. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this video, let me know. And with that said, if you want to become a channel member, it's like being subscribed on Twitch. It's $5 a month. You get access to private, more personal videos that are not available to the public. Check the pinned comment for a playlist. If any of those videos interest you, feel free to click that join button to become a channel member. And one of those videos is how to be a YouTuber. I think that's super worth the $5 a month to have access to. I basically made it for myself in case I forget how I do YouTube. So it's super informative. If that's something you want to do or something you're interested in, feel free to check it out. With that said, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss tomorrow's video. Take care.